Yo, Beth. That shit crazy.
Welcome everybody to All Even Live exclusive. I am Barrington Grant, Barry Grant Jr., host of the All Even podcast. We have Matt Cataruzolo in the top left corner. Bottom left corner, we have Mike Guido, Guido's Gridiron Blitz. This show today, we have a great guest. We have a phenomenal guest, Rachel Berry. She is a reporter for, ABC 21, sideline reporter for the G League as well. Glad to have you. How are you doing, Rachel?
I'm good. I'm healthy. And during these times, that is something we have to say. But I'm very healthy. I am doing well. Work's going great. So how are you guys?
We're good.
Well, that takes care of Barry's first question.
It does,
Right,
I'm sure. Isn't it crazy that we have to ask if people are doing if they're healthy?
Right. And the thing is, it's like, it's a legit question. Like, sometimes we'll ask that question, how you doing, and then move on. But it's really like, how are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, everybody's concerned about everybody's family, how your health and all that. So, it's really important. And I guess that goes into my first question. Like, the dynamic of sports has changed over the last year, right? So how has it been kind of like adapting to this new COVID environment? Like, how has that been for you? Because, going to college, finishing with Ball State, you'd never imagine that this would be the introduction or even like your current situation in sports, right?
Not in a million years. I mean, I've dreamed of becoming a sports reporter for a very long time. And so I just graduated from Ball State, technically about a month ago.
Wow.
I've been away from Muncie, which is where Ball State's at. I've been away from there since February, since the lockdown started. So I really didn't get to finish that senior year, which of course everyone wanted to, but you know what, I'm okay. So I started my career back in July. I haven't been live
Wow.
at all. And I thought I would have been, but because we're in studio, they want to space us all out. And just because of restrictions, we are all pre-recorded. So it's just not what I expected. And it's hard. I mean, I think you ask anyone, I'm sure you guys can agree, these times are hard for anyone that's in the sports industry, especially athletes as well. And it's just different. It's not what I expected, but I'm still so thankful that I got to start my career during these crazy times because I think it'll help me in the future.
Right.
Yeah, it's important, kind of to acknowledge that. So something that you should know about us, because I think it's somewhat relatable, is not really Matt, but myself and Barry. We went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, so that was very hands-on. Very, they were throwing stuff at us that we were never going to be asked to do in the amount of stuff that they were throwing at us at one time, we're never going to be asked to do in the industry ever. So I think that kind of prepared us even going forward. But I really find it interesting how young you are, right? Like you're a young woman who has already made a name for herself in the industry. And especially now, it's becoming more and more rare. How did you find yourself in the position you're in now?
Man, I've been asked that one a lot, and just hard work. And I know that's very generic and I think everyone says that.
Right.
But to be a young woman in this industry, that's what it took. It took the connections. It took saying yes to every opportunity I could find.
Yeah.
So the G League opportunity, I didn't even know that was paid. It's actually the team in my area up here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I actually had never been to Fort Wayne before I started that job because my school is about an hour south. So I would drive out an hour north once or twice a week just to do that job. And I found out it was paid and I was like, no way. So it's really taking those opportunities, not sure if they're paid or not, just say yes. And that's my advice to everyone that's younger than me or older than me that still wants to get into this industry. It's just saying yes to every opportunity because you never know who you're going to be talking to or who you're going to interact with. So yes, I'm young, but I'm very driven. And that's something my job has always been kind of what I live for. I mean, I live for a lot of things, but my job is my passion. I gave up a lot to be where I'm at, and college wasn't easy for me. It took me a lot of, it took me 4.5 years to get through college because I
Mm.
transferred schools. But I mean, just hard work and perseverance. It just a lot of that.
Yeah, it's super commendable what you've accomplished already in such a short time just from graduating college. I noticed you said something before that I've thought to myself. Also, I'm a journalism major right now. I'm graduating in May, and the professors always try to tell you everything that to comfort you and make you feel better. These are tumultuous times, obviously super unconventional, unforeseen circumstances and things like that. But something that my capstone senior project professor said to me that really stuck was the times like this, circumstances like this will make you better journalists. They will help you adapt to the world that you've been thrown into. So would you attest to that situation, seeing how you've reported in a normal world, whereas we're reporting now remotely in this pandemic?
Our jobs are all about adapting to what's to come. I
Right.
mean, none of us knew that a year ago, none of us knew what this next year would have looked like.
Hmm.
And I can't believe it's almost been a year since we
I
started
know.
all of this. So yes, our job's all about adapting. And that's something you kind of learn over time. It's not going to become natural because like I said, when I started this job, I signed my contract back in May. We were expecting by June or July that everything was going to be back to normal, and it still isn't. And so you kind of just have to go the flow of things. And school's going to teach you a lot of things. I learned a lot of the things I learned at Ball State, but a lot of it you learn out in the community, out at your internships and jobs. So I commend you for what you said. That's a great question, but it's all about adapting, and that's
Absolutely.
something I think we all have to learn in general, just in our lives, because I think we've learned a lot, at least in this past year.
Definitely.
Yeah, so it's very odd about your start. Like, the first step in the door that you had was in NASCAR. So it's like I need a little bit more with that. Rachel, like, please, please get into that
Completely
for me.
different culture.
Because like of all
Yes.
the sports,
Uh-huh.
NASCAR.
So it's kind of funny because I grew up playing basketball. I played basketball for 12 years. I was terrible, absolutely terrible. And then I pole vaulted. I think I was that athlete that always tried every sport to try to figure out what you're good at. I just couldn't find that sport. So that's why I talk sports for a living and I don't play them.
Mm.
So I grew up in Indianapolis, which is the racing capital of the world.
Right.
And I did not know a single thing about motorsports until, let's see, I guess it's 3 or 4 years ago now. So I went to school at Indiana Wesleyan for 2 years, which is a private college in Indiana. And I went there for 2 years and I got a little bit of media behind my belt, but it's one of those that I didn't learn too much, and I knew that I needed to transfer schools, which is why I went to Ball State. But while I was there, I had a friend that introduced me to this dirt track, which I was like, dirt track? I have no idea what that is. And it was about 10 minutes down from my school, which I had passed it on the way to school before, and I didn't know. I was like, people actually go to this place? But like I've been told and I've said, you have to say yes to everything. And at this time, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I know I've been involved in pageants for a long time, so I like to talk on the mic. I like to talk to an audience. So I was like, you know what? Let's do this. So they asked me to come on board for the entire season. So I spent every Friday night for an entire probably 4 months going to this small dirt track. But I think the first night I completely fell in love with motorsports in general. Like I said, I knew nothing about motorsports at all. So I quickly had to learn about these cars. And for a while, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into motorsports and I wanted to talk about cars going around a track, which most people are like, I have no idea what that is. But I found out that it's more than just, like I said, cars going around a track. They are there's a lot more that goes into it. So I fell in love with it. I had an internship with IndyCar Radio, so I actually became one of their pit reporters. Like I said, I was just an intern, but I still got to be on the pit row, talking to these drivers, interacting with them at the Indy 500, which is the largest sporting event in the world, which is crazy, and it's right in my hometown. So I instantly fell in love with it, and I would love to do more, but I'm so thankful that I work in Fort Wayne. So I'm still able to cover IndyCar, and I still get to cut those highlights. I don't get to travel with them, but maybe someday I'll get back to it.
You know, I most of what, and this is what I've learned, and you know, I think everybody, you know, everybody here except for Barry really is a young person.
I'm the old person here.
Sorry, Barry.
Yeah, you're the old head. But a lot of people have this misconception about sports media as if the majority of media is national, right? They watch ESPN, they watch FS1, they watch, you know, CBS, they do all of this stuff, and they watch all this national coverage, and that's kind of where most of us find our inspiration, right? Most of sports media isn't that. It's mostly local markets, right? So you're in Fort Wayne, Indiana, you're in the Indianapolis area, and one of the things you have to do is you have to tailor to what those people care about, which is NASCAR, it's Pacers, it's Indianapolis Colts, like it's you know, University of Indiana, it's IUPUI, it's like it's that sort of market, and that's what you talk about. You don't talk much baseball in Indiana. You know what I mean? So
at all.
You growing up there, I think you had somewhat of an advantage to catering to that market because you grew up there, right? You came up as an athlete, and you know, you kind of knew what they wanted. But you're too young and you're too talented to stay in a smaller market like Fort Wayne, Indiana. So do you think that when you do move on, right? When you do move on to some market, whether it's, you know, a large market like a big jump, or you just kind of, you know, puddle jump the rest of the way throughout the country, you know, which is what happens in the industry. Do you think that you're self-covering such a small market with such a diluted interest in certain sports? Do you think that helps you going forward?
So I would say yes in ways, and no in some ways too. So I'm very thankful that my parents, I mean, I was a try hard athlete. Like I said, it wasn't good, but I was able to learn these sports along the way.
Mhm.
And my dad, we've been vested in this team right here for a long time. The Colts are my home team, and the Pacers.
Yep.
And so being able to cover those teams up in Fort Wayne, yeah, it's definitely helped me. But I will say I'm not perfect. I have a lot to learn. And this job, being able to focus on these teams that I've invested so much time in, I think it's helped because I get to learn even more about even just some of the, like, I never played football, but I have to learn every position within it because I mean, I think anyone in this industry wants to be the best, you know, and
Yep.
it's all about investing yourself in these sports. So yes, I would love to. We have a minor league baseball team here in Fort Wayne. So I didn't get to cover them this summer, sadly, but this upcoming year, that's a big deal. It is a big deal to Fort
Wow.
Wayne. We also have a minor league hockey team, which they're still professionals. They're just kind of low down in the scale. But that actually starts this month. And so I knew nothing about hockey coming up to this city, but this city is a hockey and baseball city. So I am excited to learn
Wow.
that. So it's really, you know, I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was just the indie teams that we cover, and IU and IUPUI and Purdue. But this city is a lot different than what I grew up in because of the hockey team and because of the baseball team. So I am someone that's had to learn along the way. I've made mistakes on air, and I will admit that, but that's all part of it. You know, it's that's how you learn. And so I will never be ashamed of the mistakes I made because I learned from them. So yes, I think it's helped me, but like I said, there's a lot I still have to learn. And surprisingly, there's some teams that I will get to kind of invest a lot of time into.
This is sort of building off of Mike's question here. So we're all from, well, I know me and Mike are from Long Island, New York, and the passion that I've kind of maintained throughout at least my college career, ever since I knew I wanted to be a member of sports media, was to be able to cover and report on your favorite team. You know, I'm a diehard Giant fan, a diehard Yankee fan, so it would be my dream or my ceiling to be able to report for those teams or cover those teams, right? So when did you realize, being an Indiana native and now covering Indiana teams, when did you realize that there's more out there than just being able to report and cover on your favorite teams?
As soon as, I mean, I've watched ESPN a lot. I feel like I've watched many NFL games. Yeah, it's more than just your teams. And that's something everyone has to realize if you're in these areas. Like, I would love to work in a market. I'd love to go up to Kansas City. I would love to work there. And so you have to, because I don't plan on being in Fort Wayne forever. And so I know that, and I have some cities that I have my eyes on. So of course I'm investing a lot of time into those. But you quickly learn when you're cutting these highlights and when you're talking about each player, one, you want to pronounce their name right, because people will pick you apart. Luckily, I think it happened one time during this NFL season. I pronounced someone's name wrong, and which I figured that out very quickly after. But you don't want to be seen that way, and you want to know what these teams are about. So you quickly learn that once you start editing these highlights and talking about. So yeah, I do cover the Colts, but I cover every other team they play, and so that's something I've had to learn, and that's something that comes with time, like I keep talking about. And so it's important to invest yourself in just the sports world in general. And you're not going to know everything about every team. You guys might, but I'm getting there. So I'm working on that. And I think it's just important because like we just talked about, I hope to make it to the next level. Actually, my dream is to become an NFL reporter. I'd love to go and work for one of the teams, and I'm not picky. I'd go to any team if I could. So hopefully, and I'd really like that to be my next step. And I love working for the Mad Ants too. Sorry, I was going all around this question, but working for the Mad Ants is kind of working with the G League team. That's what our team's called.
Yep.
I have learned what it's like to invest yourself in one team, and I love it because you get to know the players, you get to know their stories, and you get to know every position and how well they are compared to other people in the league. And so I love that, and I love football, so I'd love to carry that over to the NFL potentially.
Yeah, look, the Cowboys need you. So,
I would totally go to the Cowboys in a second. And I know
Hey, can you play quarterback? We won't have to pay you $40 million.
You know what? Sign me up, coach. Sign me up.
So, just going into, you were talking about the Mad Ants. Like, as a sideline reporter, I always wanted to know, like, is it better to have a rapport with the players, to have them open up a little more in regards to them trusting you and giving you more insight of, personal life, what's going on in the court, locker room and stuff like that? Or, is it just like a default thing where it's like, hey, I don't know you, I have to ask questions and, you have to sit here and answer? Like, does it pay off to actually have a rapport and a relationship with these players so they kind of trust you a little more?
So I started my sideline reporting when I was at Ball State. And so there I was able to really invest myself into these players because they're not at the professional level yet. So I was friends with a lot of them. So I knew their stories, I knew their backgrounds, I knew what high school they came from or what college they transferred from. Coming up to Fort Wayne and reporting for the Mad Ants, it's not like these guys are still professionals. They still do this for a living. So they're not able to really open up a lot. And so I actually was able to kind of get to them eventually during the end-ish. I never got to finish the season, sadly, but I was able to kind of open up to them, and they were able to open up to me. So I think it's super important if you are a team reporter, keep it professional. That's one thing I think, especially as a female in this area, it's not necessarily, there's some guys that won't keep it professional with you. And I always believe it's your job, and you don't mix that. That's something I keep it's very close to me. You do not mix your relationships with your job. And so it's important to open up to them, and they'll open up to you, but keep it professional, but they will tell you things, and there'll be stories that come out from that. So I think it's important for anyone to try to invest into their players. And that's what I hope to, if I make it to the NFL level, I would love to just get to know these players on a different level rather than just put the camera sees. And then I hope to, tell their stories, because there's so many incredible stories that come along with that sport, and actually just sports in general.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the names on this Mad Ants roster. And like there are guys that have gotten NBA minutes on here, like guys like
Definitely.
Jalen LeCue and Nazma True-Long, guys like,
Mhm.
Devin Robinson, Cassius Stanley got drafted this year.
Yes.
So, Brian Bowen, O'Shea Brissett, these guys have played legitimate NBA minutes. So that's got to be kind of cool for you.
Yeah, sorry, keep going.
No, go.
So that's one
I'm
thing.
way less important than
No,
you.
oh my gosh, you guys are so important. That's one thing people don't understand about the G League. They think it's just some guys that, just played basketball in college. No, I talk to players that go play for the Pacers the next night. And just for that, like people, especially in my area up here, they don't totally understand that. Indiana is a basketball state, but my roommate and my best friend, she works for the Mad Ants as one of their sales reps. And that's one thing they always talk about is people don't understand that these players are going to go, some of them, usually about 2 or 3 of them will go and play for the Pacers the next night, or Taco Fall. I interviewed him last year, and that was one of the coolest moments. And I got this picture next to this guy who's huge, and I'm 5'9", and I was in heels that night, and he was still taller than me. But it's like these guys are big deals, and I think many people underestimate it. So now that the bubble's coming up, I think the games start. Oh gosh, I have to go back and look. I think they start in 2 weeks. But these are high-end players that are just trying to make it to the next level, and a few of them will.
No. Yeah, I've had really similar experiences where, obviously, Matt just said it before, I born and raised in Long Island and everything like that. So I live in New York. New York's a basketball state also. When the Knicks are good, everybody kind of, roars up. So there isn't a crazy good college basketball program around here other than, Syracuse, which is 6 hours from where we are. But I've done a lot of play-by-play for both college tournaments and for high school tournaments and stuff like that. And people genuinely don't realize how good these players are. Like, this is not, like you're not seeing just a generic high school versus some other local high school. No, these are, kids from all around that have gotten recruited and are getting looked at by scouts, and some of them are making it. And, like I've done a lot of games for people that have gone on to play for St. John's and stuff like that. So, I really think that it's important for all of us. And this is kind of, it isn't really a question, but it's just a statement that I think you could attest to, is that, it's kind of building off of Barry's question to the point of, building relationships with players, I think, is way more important than people think. And it's not just not just a professional relationship to a, like that you can say, oh, how you doing? How's your mom? Everything like that. So I think that that's so important, so that when, if you ever need a voice, if you ever need somebody to, have your back on something, you kind of have a lifeline.
Exactly. And that's something, it's kind of crazy. Like a year and a half ago, way more than a year and a half ago, I'd say. Yeah. Well, I mean, before the G League season last year.
Yep.
I mean, it was just a dream of mine to even be in the same, like I said, I grew up with the Pacers, but just to even be on the same court as some of these players that I play at the other level, the NBA. That was just a cool thing in itself. But yeah, I totally agree that building these relationships, you never know who they're going to talk to, because I think we're all want to make it to the next level. And so I think that's super important, just to keep it professional, but also create these relationships, because you want them to open up to you. And that's something that you don't want to push. I think a lot of people will kind of butcher that too. They message them too much, or they, there's some people that I know specifically, of course, I think we can all think of someone that you're like, you've kind of ruined these relationships, and they will open up to you, but they'll kind of keep it back as well.
Right.
It's all about keeping it professional and just being kind. I mean, that's something I live by. These players don't want to be annoyed. They don't want to be they don't want some girl that's just stuck up, and it's just about being kind, and we're all just doing our jobs, and they're going to help you if you help them.
Right.
Sticking with the theme here of building and preserving relationships with the people that you interview and you work with, I think it's something, at least that I know a bunch of aspiring journalists like myself, and even professional journalists, might tend to do, is sort of idolize athletes or put them on this pedestal where they're almost above us or not human-like. for example, like recently before the season began, Kyrie Irving was heavily scrutinized for his media blackout, saying that his attention and time were more worthy on other things outside of the sport of basketball. And now he comes back averaging 30 a game, and it's like it never happened, right? So I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say on how important it is to humanize these athletes as human beings as well, noticing that they're people who have priorities that maybe be more important than their profession of the sport.
That's a great question, because I think that's something that we don't talk about enough. And that's something that potentially could get you in a lot of trouble. So going back to Taco Fall. So of course I looked up to him for a long time, literally looked up to him. Like I said, he's huge. You don't know how big he is until you stand next to him.
A lot of people look up to him.
A lot of people, most people in this world look up to him.
That's right.
So he's, yeah, he was super fun to watch. And I do hope he kind of, he's working hard. And
he'll find his way. Yeah.
He'll find his way. So I hope he does at least. So anyways, when I had that game, when I reported at that game, it was one of those moments where I was like, that's Taco Fall. But you keep it to yourself. You cannot. One thing I have seen from certain reporters in this field is you idolize these players, and that is not, they are humans. And you learn that quickly, especially when I worked with working for this team. I learned quickly that these players are they're just normal guys, and they make mistakes. And we've seen that in the media. They say things that they shouldn't, but it's important to just make sure that you know that they're just doing their job and you're doing your job. And yeah, they have a pretty cool job. I will say that. And I think we can look at every athlete in this world and say they have an incredible job, but you just have to keep it cool. I mean, this is, I still have those fangirl moments, but you just keep them to yourself. Like Darius Leonard plays for the Colts, and he followed me on Twitter not too long ago. And
That's
it was
awesome.
one of those moments where inside you're like, Darius Leonard, like the maniac. Oh my gosh. He followed me on Twitter, but you just kind of keep it to yourself. And so Darius, if you do see this eventually, I looked up to you for a long time. So just keep being you. But yes, it was a small little fangirl moment, but it's important that like Darius Leonard, he's a normal guy. Lost his wedding ring not too long ago in a glove, handed off to a fan, and he finally got it back. But they're just normal humans. And I think it's important I love telling stories, and that's a big part of my job at ABC, is telling these stories of these athletes, but because I think they brings them down to a level that they want to be at. They're going to be athletes that want to be idolized, and that's just how our world is. But I think a lot of them just want to be normal people, and they want to be treated like that. So I think it's important. That's why I love telling stories. It's because I think it brings them to our level, and you kind of see that they're just normal people that just have a pretty cool job.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. So let's kind of pick your brain in regards to the NBA, put on your analyst hat a little bit.
Oh gosh. Okay.
We could talk a little Pacers basketball. So in your opinion, the Pacers currently right now are 12-10. They're a pretty decent team. They're not, I don't call them an upper echelon team, but they are a mid team that they can put a scare into some big teams come playoff time. Down the road, if they're a 4 or 5 seed, watch out, because they have a lot of tough players. Who do you think is the spearhead for this Pacers team? You have a lot of guys, everybody's talking about Malcolm Brogdon, but who to you, in your opinion, is the guy that actually puts everything together?
That's a great question. So let's go back to last year. Victor Oladipo, not last year, let's go back a few years ago. Last year, he had the injury and was dealing with all of that all season. He was like the saving grace, we all thought it was going to be that way for a long time. He went to Indiana University, and then of course he went and played, elsewhere, and then came back to his team here in Indiana. And that was the guy everyone looked up to. He was going to be the saver of this team. And he was for a long time. And I will say that I am not underestimating him. I think he's going to come back and bounce back stronger here with the Rockets. But I think it's our team needs to find where we're supposed to be at. And I think we're struggling in that area. We're leaning on Malcolm Brogdon. I mean, like you said, he's incredible. He's got a great eye. He knows when to shoot, and he knows when to pass it off. And then Domantas Sabonis, big guy, has an incredible 3-point shot. So I'm going to go Malcolm Brogdon, though, because, I mean, your stats say a lot. And he's just been really, really strong this season. Last year, he kind of struggled a little bit on certain games. He was also hurt, so that was part of it. But now that kind of Victor Oladipo is out of the picture, I think Malcolm Brogdon knows that he has to step up. Sabonis has as well. I mean, there's a lot of players on this team that knew that it's time to step up, especially with this new coach. I do like the team. I think they just have a lot to work on.
Yeah, the one thing I find interesting about the Pacers, and it's not just the Pacers. There are plenty of teams that do this also, but they just have these. They've kind of gotten some breakout stars, right? Or maybe not even stars, but breakout contributors at least, right? TJ Warren during the bubble last year was incredible. You had guys like Aaron Holiday who stepped up, and Dougie McBuckets, who's a key contributor for them now. And you got some guys that you're still kind of waiting on also, like Goga Batadze. I'm sure you're still trying to find some sort of level of production that goes along with that first round pick. But, and then you traded for Karis LeVert and you're waiting for him and everything like that as well. But I do think that it's interesting that, you have some sort of up and coming players. And it can be a little bit inconsistent at times, but in your mind, what is this team in need of? Like, in order to get to the next step, what do the Pacers need?
LeBron James.
Everybody could use LeBron James.
Every team could use LeBron James.
He's not going anywhere.
He's not. I know. He's stuck there. We just, I don't think there's one key factor. I just think we need experience. We need these guys to play together. And we don't have tons of new players, but they're young. And so I actually got to see Goga. He came up and worked out with the Mad Ants and played with the Mad Ants for 2 games. Victor Oladipo did as well. No, Vic didn't actually. He practiced with us, but he didn't play. He didn't play in a game that I know of. Wow, I'll have to go back and look. Wow. We need experience.
We won't hold you to it.
What?
I said, it's okay. We won't hold you to it.
Yeah, my gosh. It's one of those days. It's cloudy outside. Indiana's cold. So it's probably part of it. Yeah, I would say experience. We need this team to just play together. So yeah, this season's not going to be our prime year like it was a few years ago. Unless it was getting there. I just think this team needs to, especially under new coach, they have to get used to that as well. It's a new coaching style. I have only heard good things about him, which is incredible. They just need experience. So I think we have some good players. They're just young. And we need Karis. We really need Karis. I think Karis is gonna be so good. He may be your Victor Oladipo. I think he might be, especially because he's so young, and I think we can kind of build him into what we want for our team. Yeah. We need him to be healthy. And I'm honestly, I'm so thankful that they caught that. Yeah. I think it was truly a lifesaver. Or even the doctors say that if we didn't catch this if they caught this any later, it could have been a lot worse. So I'm thankful. It was truly a miracle that this trade all happened at this time, because it saved this guy's life. Yeah.
Being a lifelong Indiana sports fan. Indiana sports fan, growing up watching the Pacers, a guy that you're pretty familiar with is Paul George. Now, Paul George has received a ton of scrutiny, a ton of criticism, especially in the postseason now. Are you a believer in Paul George, that he's the guy, the wingman to Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers, that they can get this done and winning a championship in this window, even with LeBron James across town? The hesitation's there. Putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Paul George did some damage to my city. So
yes, he did.
No, I think he's a great player. I don't know if he's the key factor to winning. He's good. Go look at his stats. I mean, he's pretty solid still. Yeah.
Regular season Paul.
I know. Yeah. I don't know. That's just a good question. I don't think about him much anymore, honestly.
Oh, ouch.
That's the attitude.
Damage to my heart.
Forget and move on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Paul George is like Roy Hibbert to you.
Yeah, exactly. That was a good question, though. I don't have a solid answer on that one.
Paul George to Rachel is like Kristaps Porzingis to me.
Okay, I see it.
He's in my rear view window. Sorry.
Oh.
Nope.
Well, I guess
Sorry, buddy.
I guess adding to that point, time heals wounds, right? And later on in Paul George's career, he's going to look back and say that he enjoyed his Pacer days. I'm sure Pacer fans will do the same. Do you think, in your opinion now, that he deserves to be in your guys' Ring of Honor? Does he deserve to get his jersey retired as a Pacer? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think he did a lot of good for this team. But man, having your jersey retired, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That is a big deal for any NBA team. So I think, I'm talking a lot of crap about him, but I think he's a great guy. He's a great player. And I don't want anything against him. It's just kind of funny because we always keep that. Indy will always, I think we'll keep that against him for a while. But I think all of us deep down, we look back and we do see the impact he made for the Pacers. And I mean, I don't think we should retire his jersey at Banker's Life. I just think we can kind of give him some grace because he did what was best for him.
Give him a salute and that's it, right?
Yep.
Exactly. Good luck.
Right.
So whenever I think of the Indiana Pacers, and I'm talking more recently, I'm not talking about Reggie Miller and Rick Smits and
wow.
things like that. But like more recently with Paul George's team, when you had Lance Stevenson who exploded out of nowhere, right? That was like Linsanity in New York, where Jeremy Lin had a great 3 weeks where he was the best player in the league. But Lance Stevenson was going off, and Roy Hibbert was 7-2 and blocking 4 shots a game. Like David West was fantastic for them. I think it's amazing how that's kind of like there's nothing left of that. Like you guys have made 2 coaching changes since then, and that's actually kind of what I want to ask you next. Is that you guys fired Frank Vogel, and then you guys fired Nate McMillan, and those were 2 good basketball coaches. Like, is there some sort of maybe this isn't the right word, but some sort of level of dysfunction going on in Indiana a little bit?
I don't know the exact reasons why these guys were fired. I mean, I know there was a lot of controversy and the players, had a big impact on that.
Yeah.
And our record had a big impact on that. Indiana is a basketball state. So is New York. So, we're known for basketball here.
Yeah.
And so people keep the Pacers at that level, and all of those incredible players played for us and we were doing so well. Of course, we keep this team at that level and they just are kind of down here, And so I think there is a reason. Like I said, I don't know the exact reason and I'm sure I could find it. I'll have to go back and look, but we want this Pacers team to be back where we were at, and we're struggling to get there. And we have seen that in the past couple of years. So I think every coach we bring in, we think is going to be a little bit better. And sadly, which they are 2 great coaches. And I can say that truthfully, they are great coaches, but they didn't fit for our team.
Yeah.
And you look at any team, college teams, NFL teams, especially in the NFL right now, there's a bunch of coaching that keeps changing. And so I think it's just fresh starts more than anything. And that it's time to move on and have something new for these players. So I think a new start is what they needed.
Yeah, I agree. And then the NBA has grown more towards player mobility this past decade than ever before. So when LeBron James left Cleveland after 2018, I think all fans of Eastern Conference teams, myself included, were like, yes, finally, we're free. It's our time. We can do this. And then you have the rise of Giannis. You have Embiid and Simmons in Philadelphia. The Raptors won the championship the next year. And then you have KD and Kyrie both coming to Brooklyn. All of a sudden, the Eastern Conference is absolutely loaded. And then on top of that, Now you have James Harden coming into the mix. As a Pacers fan, and a Pacers reporter, what was your level of frustration saying, like, come on, like we just the GOAT just left our conference less than a year ago. Now we have this influx of superstars just flooding the Eastern Conference.
I think you just kind of become a little scared for your team.
Definitely.
I mean, it's one of those you kind of sit back and you're like,
All right.
oh, okay. Oh, what do we do now, guys? I honestly think players see that too. They see it. You know what, they study these teams. They know these players personally, and they see the flooding that's coming into this area. And I think everyone which we tried. We did. We try to step up and become the best of the best. And during those times, bringing Victor Oladipo in, not knowing that his injury was going to happen, I think we thought more was going to come from the team. But yeah, I think that everyone was kind of like, oh crap, this isn't good for us. But those were some exciting times though. I think just the LeBron trade, that was just, everyone was like, wow. And then we didn't know, I don't know. Did you guys expect it?
I did.
You did? Okay.
As a Laker fan, I knew it was coming. I knew he was coming.
How did you know it was coming?
It's just
this right here. Broke my heart.
Yeah, the thing is, I've followed LeBron James his entire career. So
yes,
there's certain times, like, I knew that after that game against the Celtics, he was going to play his last game with the Cavs. I just had a feeling, because he had this look on his face that you knew that there was like some closure there with him. It's like, I've done all I can.
I remember that.
I saw that same look after they lost to Golden State in the finals that last time. After they got swept, you saw some frustration for the first time, really like physical frustration, like, oh, I'm exhausted. I need to go. And I knew that, the fact that Bronny was starting high school and he was going to California, I said, you know what? I think the Lakers are going to be his last destination. They called me crazy, but, that's what I saw. And at free agency, we saw what was going on. We thought Paul George would be coming, and he ended up, re-signing with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then I think I stopped looking at my phone because I was like, this is ridiculous. I haven't heard any LeBron news all day. Something's going on here. We're hearing Sixers, we're hearing this. And then 10 minutes later, you see the notification come in and says that Clutch Sports, he signed with the Lakers. It's just like, I knew it. I knew he was coming in. It's just, LeBron is a guy that I think when you think about sports, there's always that one guy that you call just an organizational builder. It doesn't matter where he goes, he's going to build this thing from the ground up his way. And it may not work in that first year, but year 2 and year 3, you're going to see that impact. And he did it with the Cavs, he did it with the Heat, and he did it with the Lakers. So it's those guys they're just special talents. And I knew that he was going to come here, because trying to rebuild the Lakers, because they were so down for so many years in a row, 6 straight years of not making the playoffs. They were bad first round picks. It was time for him to say, that's a historical franchise. I need to get them back. And that's a challenge for him. He always looks at the next challenge. So it was definitely in the cards. So, if it didn't happen, it would have been an egg on my face, but I just had a feeling that he would come here.
Do you believe Tom Brady is the LeBron of the NFL?
Ooh. Rachel Berry asking us questions right now. Ooh,
no, I'm firing them back. Hey, that's what I usually do. So
that's a good one, man. I will answer.
Who would be?
I guess we'll go around.
Who would be your LeBron of the NFL?
Man, that is.
I would probably say Brady.
Yeah, I would say
just
Brady
from the longevity standpoint. I think it has to be.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I agree.
I mean, the fact that he turned this Buccaneers team completely around. I don't know if any other quarterback could have done that.
Yeah,
I really do not know. I would love to see it. I mean, but we haven't seen it in a while. Completely turn this team around, where your team is playing in the Super Bowl and they haven't seen even the playoffs in this many years. That's crazy.
Give me a
Well,
break.
hold on, Mike. I had one more question for Rachel that I pass it off. You're a big Colts fan, right? Big
Yes.
Colts fan.
Yeah.
Have you heard the rumors?
I have.
What are your thoughts?
She
Do
just knows
you
her.
think that Andrew Luck would be coming back? Because the way I look at it, where there's smoke, there's fire. This is coming from somewhere, and we're not going to speculate any further until we get more details. But what are your thoughts? As a reporter, do you think that there's something going on here?
As a fan, I absolutely hope so, because that would be the talk of the town. As a reporter, I hope so too, because man, that gives us a lot to talk about, and I would love that. But no, I've been a Colts fan for 23 years of my life, but so the Peyton Manning era was Peyton Manning, Tony Dungy, one of the most incredible eras. And I know the team has been talking to Peyton, trying to get some feedback on where should we go next. And that's the question for all Colts fans, not just Colts fans. I've seen it all over ESPN, is what's happening next. I mean, with Stafford going, not coming to us, which I still look back and I'm like, really? But his trade was a lot, and I know we don't give up picks, so which I understand. So yeah, I was looking actually at that today. I was like, who else could be a good fit for us? And there are options. But man, Andrew Luck he knows this team, he knows these coaches, he left on his own. And I think if he's ready, I mean, you guys know this sport it's difficult, and it's hard on their minds, it's hard on their bodies. And it just depends if he's ready. I mean, he has a newborn baby, I guess baby's a little bit older now, but it just depends. I don't know. He has so many opportunities, but I'm curious, is he just sitting at home, watching this team hurt? So I hope so. I hope the rumors are true. I think it would be so awesome for this team, and I think it would be super beneficial because he had so much time left in him. And I think if he's ready, I think he'll take the opportunity.
Yeah, I don't think it's likely, but it's certainly something to be hopeful for, right? It certainly is something to be hopeful for. And you brought up the opening at quarterback now for the Indianapolis Colts. They, Phillip Rivers is $25 million is off the books. Jacoby Brissett's $16 million is off the books. You got $41 million to spend just on the quarterback position, and you're probably not spending $41 million. So you're gonna have like $11 million to just rub on your belly. That's what you're gonna do. So I've heard Carson Wentz is a fit. I've heard, obviously Stafford is no longer an option, but there are definitely going to be certain options that the Colts can have at quarterback. So here's my question to you. Exactly how much money would you pay for Andrew Luck to come back?
Oh, that's a good one. Wow. Oh, man.
And I don't mean the Colts. I mean you.
Oh, me personally, not with my salary right now, I don't have anywhere close to all of that. So I would pay, I don't know, I'd pay I'd give him $100.
Good amount.
A hypothetical $100 to get Andrew Luck back. I think that would mean more than the Colts $34 million, but who knows?
I could at least pitch in why don't I just pitch in $100? Let's get all Colts fans together and we can all pitch in $100 and maybe
start a GoFundMe.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. That's a good one. That's a good.
Listen, you guys should be. I'm serious. If I'm in Indianapolis, there should be a Facebook group,
petitions, all of that,
just to get people in the streets chanting about Andrew Luck, and then maybe he'll hear about it on his flip phone and he'll, show up one day or something. All I'm saying is,
write him a letter. He'll get it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but why? Okay, my question is, do you Carson Wentz or Phillip Rivers?
Carson Wentz. Without a
Wentz.
doubt.
Carson Wentz reuniting with Frank Reich would be exciting.
That's magic. That's magic.
I
Yeah, I
have
don't
an
think Carson Wentz is-
idea. I think that's more realistic. I mean, they're gonna pay a lot if we do get him. There's gonna be a lot of money involved. But I depends how much he liked Frank Reich, and I just don't know. I mean, I think it's definitely still possible.
I'd give up a few draft picks for Carson Wentz. Because
Would
again,
you really?
yes, I would.
Okay.
I would look because you got $41 million,
Yeah.
right? That's coming at just quarterback. That's not all the money that's coming off the books. That's just the quarterback. So you spend $32 million on Carson Wentz because that's what his contract is now.
Is it okay? Okay.
So you reunite him with Frank Reich, which is when he was playing his best football. I mean, Carson Wentz is a talented player. It's not like he's a scrub. You know what I mean? These guys forced me to do a quarterback list yesterday, and I had him ranked as the 12th best quarterback in the NFL.
Inaccurate.
Well, really? Okay.
Please, your response 12.
Yeah,
I like your list, Mike.
Because I think people but that's the thing is I don't blame her for doing that, and I don't blame most people for doing that because a lot of people reflect on the bad year that he just had, and they excuse that for the entire body of work, and they also excuse the terrible roster that he was dealing with. Like, think about it. He goes to Indianapolis. He's got arguably the best offensive line in football. He's got one of the best young running backs in football in Jonathan Taylor. He's got wide receivers up the wazoo, Zach Pascal, Michael Pittman, T.Y. Hilton, guys. Like,
Yeah.
It's bound for success. You got a great GM, you got a great coach. All I'm saying is that it's not the worst move. I'd give up a few picks for Carson Wentz.
I'm just curious if they will, because that's one thing they like to keep. Like I said, they love their picks. So I think it could be, you bring in Carson Wentz and it could be strong. It could be a strong team, but we need that leader. And like every team does. And we've seen that with Brady this year. Every team just needs a strong leader.
Yep.
And so, I can't wait. Do you guys know when can they, or when will they decide, or is there, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, if it's going to happen, I think it would happen before draft day.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so too. Okay, cool. I'm excited.
It all depends, honestly, if the Eagles are going to keep him. Like, since the Eagles fired Doug Peterson, Howie Roseman might say, well, you know, we'll give him another shot instead of rolling with Jalen Hurts. So, you know, you never know.
Yeah.
Schefter tweeted earlier today that Carson Wentz wants out of Philly, but they have no intention of dealing him. So it could get hairy. Yeah, but I want to know all your answers to this. So we're talking all about NFL quarterbacks now, whether they're free agents, whether they're trade candidates. Stafford's off the table. I don't really see Indianapolis putting together a package to go and acquire Watson or anything. So I think that's also out of the picture. I think Wentz is a viable option if they do want to go free agent. But would you guys be upset, or would you be less enthusiastic if they took they hold the 21st overall pick right now? Would you be upset if they drafted a guy like Mac Jones and developed him? Because they have done what Chris Ballard has been able to do since he took over. He's drafted incredibly well on both sides of the ball. Julian Blackmon is a rising star on the defensive side of the ball. I'm super excited to see what Michael Pittman is going to do on the outside. Jonathan Taylor is already a beast in the backfield. Quentin Nelson is one of the best. Yeah, Quentin Nelson's one of the best guards in football, if not the best. They have hit on a lot of these draft picks, and they have a win now roster, a young win now roster with a great coach. I wouldn't mind seeing them draft and develop a quarterback to become the franchise quarterback, which will be the cornerstone of this franchise for sustainable success. And they have to do that in the AFC, which just got Justin Herbert, which is going to have to deal with Pat Mahomes, which had Lamar Jackson. They have Joe Burrow. Like the AFC has a lot of young, new, up and coming guys. They're going to have Trevor Lawrence. Exactly. So what would your reactions be if they did in fact draft a quarterback in the first round?
Uh-oh.
It's okay. Take your time.
Something tells me she's not going to be happy.
No. Like,
it's all right. We're here for honesty. That's all we want.
Why? I like if they do, and I know, yes, they've had solid draft picks who have totally been beneficial to our team. I mean, we can't say they haven't. Like you just named off all of those great players. But like I said, the quarterback is the leader. I mean, we've done it before. Andrew Luck was young, and he became very successful just in his few years with the team. But you bring in someone like Carson Wentz. I mean, I hate to say it, but him against any experienced quarterback against a Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is incredible. He's good. But that one game said, he's good. He is good, and he'll do well, I think. But I mean, you bring an experienced quarterback versus a guy who's a rookie. I mean, I'm sorry, they're just two different leagues.
Yeah.
So I mean, I trust our staff's great, and I'm thankful that we have a staff that knows what they're doing. Some teams are struggling with that right now, but I think we need someone experienced, because I mean, we look at Phillip Rivers, and he's had a lot of years under his belt, and he did a lot of good for this team, especially just in 1 year. That's impressive. So yeah, I personally would love for us to get an experienced quarterback that's been in this league for a while, but I mean, yeah, I trust them too. And if there is a good upcoming quarterback, I don't know, 21st pick, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty low. So I don't know. I mean, it's possible, but I personally would love to see an experienced quarterback.
I agree. Do you remember where you were when when you found out that Andrew Luck was retiring?
Yes. So I was a sports intern at the time at Wish TV, which is down in Indianapolis, Channel 8. And they're incredible. Great group of people. Let's see, it was a Saturday, right? Do you guys remember?
I remember it was you're exactly right. It was a Saturday in August of 2019.
Wow, I can't believe it's 2019. I was at home, and it was one of those where you're looking at your phone and you're like, what? No one believed it. And so I was a sports intern, and I'm so sad that I was off that night. That was one of the nights I worked Sunday nights, I worked Fridays, and I worked Wednesdays or something like that. And I was off that night, but I always had to hear those stories the rest of my time at my internship there of the crazy night. And I did like 6 hours of just Andrew Luck news. And I'm still upset that I wasn't there, because I would have loved to help out with that. But I was at home, and my dad and I mean, we're huge Colts fans, and we just couldn't believe it. And I love that the news was released on Twitter, and so all the fans in the stands, apparently you just heard this like roar across the field, across the stadium, and then you see Andrew Luck walking off, and it kind of still gives me chills because we didn't expect it. And just his speech and his press conference was so heartbreaking, because you saw the hurt in this guy's eyes. You saw the pain that he was going through. And part of us, I was pissed. I was absolutely pissed at the time, because I liked him as a quarterback.
And the team was
but
good.
Then you eventually, your anger turned into this, oh, wow, like he's not doing well. And so you kind of had the sympathy towards him, and I'm glad. It hurt our team, but you know what? Mental health awareness is something that's so deep. So I'm so passionate about. It's probably my biggest passion in life. And I think that kind of brought it across social media, and was like, this is something that needs to be talked about, and athletes deal with it too. And he was just hurting too in general. So I think it was pretty emotional time for Colts fans, but I'll always remember that week and how just crazy it was.
You want to go, Mike? You want me to get it?
Your turn, bud.
All right. So I'm going to ask you a very biased question right now.
Okay.
I don't know. I have a feeling of where you're going to lean, but
okay.
Anyway, who would you rather have, Peyton Manning or Tom Brady? Because in my opinion, I look at them differently. Everybody calls Tom Brady the GOAT, right? Because it's 6 Super Bowls, 9 appearances. This is number 10. He may end up winning 7. Great. But I've never seen a quarterback control the line of scrimmage like Peyton Manning did. Peyton Manning changed the quarterback position for me personally. And what you see quarterbacks do now is because of Peyton Manning. So to me, his greatness is a little more elevated on my list. So for you, is it Brady or is it Manning?
I mean, I kind of would like to, I want you guys to answer this too, because I mean, I'm a Colts fan, so of course Peyton Manning's my answer. But I think I agree. They compare in areas, in other areas they don't. And I think that's with any quarterback too. Every quarterback is different, even though they play the same position. But I do believe Peyton knew what he knew this team in and out. Even after he left, he knew what he was doing, and he had that. That's why we still rely on, so that's why the Colts still call him up when they need to, because this guy knows what he's doing. I somehow in my brain I still have Peyton up here and Brady is here.
I'm with you.
And I think it's because and I think I can't wait to see this weekend. I cannot wait to see what these results are. But I mean, Brady is, I think right now he's the greatest of all time. We're kind of looking at him kind of in this narrow area, but I think Peyton's still there, and you have to go look at him, and he was still one of the greatest of all times. I think in my book he is the greatest of all time. Yeah.
Special. I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too.
Really? Okay.
I find it's so funny because I guess in this little box, we're the majority, but in the grand scheme of things, we are overwhelmingly.
We are less than 1%.
I mean, it's great. But no, I think everything that you guys just touched on is exactly right. I think Peyton Manning revolutionized how you play the position, right? I don't think that there was ever a player in the league that was smarter than he was. I don't think there was ever a player in the league that knew how to dissect defenses the way that he did. I don't know if there was another player in the league that elevated his players more than he did. Okay. Because again, Marvin Harrison was great, but Marvin Harrison wasn't nearly as great until Peyton Manning came around. You know what I mean? Reggie Wayne, same sort of deal. These guys really were elevated by Peyton Manning. Edgerrin James was, that field opened up quite a bit for Edgerrin James when Peyton Manning was there. So I think there's definitely got to be there's something there. I know the winning goes to Brady's side, but I think there's a lot of extra stuff that Brady had that Peyton Manning didn't, and it's no disrespect to Tony Dungy or anything like that, but I think I would take Bill Belichick over Tony Dungy all time. Bill Belichick's going to be the greatest that's ever done it. So I do think that that's funny that we bring that up. What do you think, Matt? Manning or Brady?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I would say that it's dependent a lot on how you define greatness. It's the argument as old as time. Is it championships? Is it individual talent? Is it situation? Is it coaching? There's a lot of things that factor into it. You could say Peyton Manning has more first team All Pros than Tom Brady. It's Tom Brady's been to and won more Super Bowls, MVPs, Pro Bowls, everything like that. But I remember watching Peyton Manning and Tom Brady growing up and saying, wow, these guys are the 1A and 1B. So if one's better than the other, I think it's a slight edge. It's certainly not a runaway with either.
No.
So, I mean, it's really a coin toss, but I would give the slight edge to who I think is the ultimate player coach in Peyton Manning. That's
all right. That's 4 Peyton Mannings. Let's go.
The clean sweep.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. So,
sorry, Brady.
I think most people, but I think everybody in here can agree, right? Part of the reason we're saying Peyton Manning is because when we watched Peyton Manning, it just looked different, right?
Yeah.
When we watched Peyton Manning, it was wow. We saw him throw football. It was deathly accurate, right? We saw him to point this way and yelled something, and then the play would be wide open, just some crazy stuff. Peyton Manning was different. When you watch Tom Brady, Tom Brady, and I've always said this, Tom Brady does not ooze talent.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Deshaun Watson. He's not John Elway. He's He's not that. Okay. Tom Brady is, and I put Tom Brady and Joe Montana in the same sort of category. They weren't always the most talented, but they won the most, right? Same thing with Terry Bradshaw. They won the most. And I think, so like, Rachel, how do you, like, I guess building off of the Peyton and Brady discussion is like, how much does that factor in to the all-time discussion?
And I think I actually did a paper on this at college of what is an MVP.
Right.
Ooh.
I did. It was like a research project somehow. Like I said, school wasn't really I really hated school and I hated all. It was just for like an English class, but I was like, I'm gonna do this about something I enjoy. And what is an MVP? And it was interesting to see people's responses because, two of us we might think it's because of stats and the wins, while others look at the athleticism of some of these players. And, an MVP in my book is, of course, I think we all kind of combine it all. Peyton had a lot of wins, but I think it's one of those you look at too, and you're like, oh my, like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I see this guy. He's 26 years old, I think, maybe a little older.
He's 26.
Is he 26? Oh my gosh, 26. Wow. And he's already making this big of an impact. Like in my book, he is on a list of MVPs because you just watch him and your mind's blown. So I think I don't have a solid answer there, and I wish I could go back and read this research paper, but it was terrible, so I'm not going to do that. I passed it, so that's good. But
you get the degree.
I got a degree. I got a piece of paper. So, yeah, I just think there are multiple ideas of MVPs, but I think this upcoming Sunday we're going to see two MVPs take on each other, but they're going to be two completely different games too. So I'm excited. So that was totally off topic, but I'm still looking for it. I cannot wait for Sunday.
Well, that goes into my question, I guess, like, who do you got winning the game on Sunday?
So what?
And why?
Yeah. I am not underestimating Brady. I think, we look at the Chiefs and we look at how strong their defense is. We look at how strong their offense is and their QB, and they still have a solid team. And we saw them win this last year, of course. Yeah. But Tom Brady, it just depends it depends what I don't underestimate. For part of me is saying the Chiefs because I've looked at what people are predicting, of course. But part of me is saying I can't underestimate Brady. That guy, we've seen it this entire season. And like I keep going back to, somehow the Buccaneers are in the Super Bowl. I just still can't believe
gods have anointed him. Yes. So we will.
Yeah. So it's like, I would love to go put bets down too, because my friends taught me how to do all that stuff. So I would love to go, but I can't. I literally have no idea.
Yeah.
What do you guys? Who do you guys have? Let's hear it.
I have the Chiefs winning the game.
Yeah.
35-28.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
I see
think that the firepower is going to be too much. Even if the Bucs like to play a lot of man coverage sometimes,
yes.
And playing man coverage against the Chiefs is not the best thing to do.
No.
And if you do go zone to try to, really try to corral that, Travis Kelce is going to destroy you. So there's just pick your poison. And then you have this young 26-year-old quarterback that reminds me the most of Aaron Rodgers, and he's maybe better than Aaron Rodgers. That scares me because the guy, it's just, I think we're so used to his greatness that we get numb to it.
Mm-hmm.
And we really don't understand what we're watching. I think a decade from now, we're gonna look back and be like, Patrick Mahomes, he was a real freak. There was something going on there. Mm-hmm. We just didn't understand how he mastered the quarterback position the way he did. And this game, I think, is going to show that. I think his skill set is going to be on full display. because that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is so good, but he's that much smarter as well. So I don't see the pressure getting to him. I don't see the stage being too big for both of these teams. But Patrick Mahomes is just, I can't see him losing. I just can't. I can't.
Yeah, I'm not. I look. I've just been defeated by.
Me and Mike said, Rachel, we're not watching the Super Bowl. We have
I said on my show on not this Monday, last Monday.
Me too. Yeah.
I said that I wasn't watching the Super Bowl because I didn't have any interest in it. And then I was told by many people that have multiple influences in my life that I'm not allowed to say that because it's my job. So I have to watch it. I am obligated to watch the largest sporting event in the calendar year, apparently.
Right.
So, I just want to make it clear again, I'm only watching the Super Bowl because I am obligated to do so.
Yes.
No interest.
I am.
Mike, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Goliath versus Goliath. I have no idea. You're watching two guys right now. Beat up on the little guy, beat each other up. I'm done.
Goliath versus Goliath, right? King Kong versus Godzilla.
Seriously, it's like Rockefeller came back to life and started stealing people's money. Like, it's just, I'm done. Anyway, on a much lighter note, Rachel, this is either something that you get all the time or you've never gotten in your whole life.
Okay.
So how many times have you heard, wow, Rachel Berry, aren't you Leah Michelle's character in Glee? How often do you get that?
So,
Every
like
day?
I said earlier, I was and still potentially am. I haven't fully retired, but I've competed in the Miss America organization for a long time. And so I've competed since I was 16 years old. So quite a long time, and I age out in a few years. So I'm still contemplating if I'm going to compete or not. So I am a singer, and that's something that's my secret talent, I guess. I don't show many people that anymore, but that's something I love to do. And I was in show choir, and so of course Rachel Berry was, it was always this, oh, Rachel Berry, like from Glee. And I would go, and I would walk the other way.
I'm assuming
I remember this because like I said, I love any kind of like singing competition. So I was watching American Idol back when I was like in 4th grade or something like that. And on the TV, it says, hi, my name is Rachel Berry, as she's writing it out. And I think my parents and I were all like, what? And at this time we had DVR. So, it was recording. So we went back and looked at it, and we thought we were pretty cool at that time. And so, I always get it. I don't think maybe in the future, but I think I'll always probably get that for at least the most part of my lifetime.
You ever thought about doing a show like that? Auditioning?
No, I'm not that good. I wouldn't say I'm not that good. I love what I get to do. Hey, I mean, I'm a sports anchor, so I'm still kind of following in Leah Michelle's footsteps. So, I'm still there, but I just, not that type of, not American Idol or The Bachelor, or, I've definitely thought about The Bachelor, but I'm not going down that route. But no, I don't plan on it.
It's always messy anyway.
Very messy, especially this season. Very messy.
Well, listen, sports is still entertainment. And all three of you should be blessed that you were graced with simple, easy to pronounce last names: Grant, Guido, Barry, and then I have Cataruzolo. So it's not.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. It's So there's not many TV characters I get mistaken for.
Right.
So needless to say.
Hey, listen. At least your last name isn't a racial slur in certain dialects.
All right. I mean, it's more.
That's true.
I'm not
allowed to use my last name on certain government forms because they don't believe me.
Yeah.
No way! Wow.
Listen, every time I say his name, they're like, "That's his real last name." I'm like, yeah.
Yes. I've had to say that before. That, hey, don't call me that. I'm just like, dude, that's my last name. I swear to God. Like,
oh my gosh.
It's totally legit though.
So whatever. I'm offended by how people are offended by me. That's how I get offended.
All right, Mike. So are you going to ask her the question?
Yes. Okay. So Rachel, before we let you go, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, guys. This has been so much fun.
we ask this to everybody that we interview.
Okay.
Who is, in your mind, the greatest athlete of all time in any sport?
Gosh. Oh.
We
All right,
got another
so
one, Mike.
that's another reaction. So just to give you an idea,
It sneaks up on you.
So what we have so far
Okay.
is Martin Gramatica, who was the kicker for the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, told us Diego Maradona, the Argentinian soccer player who just passed. Our buddy Joe Spano said it was Muhammad Ali. And Josh Powell, the former Lakers player who won 2 championships, said Randy Moss. So we have a couple different angles. I think we only have one conventional answer. So,
and there's no right or wrong answer.
No right or wrong.
Oh, yeah. Oh man. Man, guys, that is like, I never like I said earlier, I'm never like the one to be asked questions. Sticking with all of this, and maybe just because my mind's here, and if I went back and thought on it, I don't know. Peyton Manning.
Okay.
I mean,
I knew it. I knew it. What did I tell you, Barry?
You did say
I know. I maybe it's just like I said, maybe it's because my mind is here right now, but like we talked about this whole time, he truly was one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But I have an MVP in every area. I've won in motorsports. I have one in, I have these ideas, but Peyton Manning, I'll go because I'll put my hand down because I think he's definitely I think you could ask anyone. I think he is one. People will say that he is one of the MVPs.
Right.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think when we get further down into the future and Peyton Manning gets older and, we start talking about his legacy a little bit more and everything like that, I think the appreciation for him will grow. I genuinely do. And not just the play, like the whole thing, right? The personality, how funny his commercials were, and like all that stuff. I think it's just going to get even bigger and bigger by the time.
Maybe you could. Sorry, Barry, but think about LeBron. I mean, he's 100% an MVP.
Yeah.
But when I think of the all-around person that Peyton Manning is and was on the field, off the field, what he's doing now, the children, he is a major children's hospital here. In my book, that's when I'm asked this question, I think that's an MVP in my head. So
no, listen, that's awesome. I agree with that. I agree because I think his impact on football, like Mike said, as time goes on, people are really going to look back and be like, Peyton changed the game.
Yes.
Changed the game, and he changed the game for a lot of the football, for a lot of football players. You can be a personality, you can be funny, you can be this clown and still be the serious guy on the field, still be the leader, still be the vocal point of your team. He was the central figure for the Colts for so many years, for football for so many years. And there's not a lot of guys that you can actually say that had that moniker and that they were the central figure for their sport for that long period of time. So, I agree with you. It's not a bad answer at all. Not a bad answer at all. Well, listen, Rachel, Barry, it's been a pleasure. Like I said, it's been an honor for you to be on our show. This was really, really fun. Hopefully we can have you on again. So,
of course, I love it.
Yeah. So, I'm Barrington Grant Jr., host of the All Even podcast, Matt Cataruzolo. We have Mike Guido down there at the bottom, and it's been a pleasure. So thank you for coming on the show, and, hopefully we can do this again.
Sounds good. I will be on again.
All right. So signing out for All Even Live, exclusive. See you guys next week.